Welcome to The Walk. In this episode, conversation with Ty Graham. Life Together with Janelle Shelton. This is the podcast for May 6, 2021.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? Welcome back to the podcast. We're excited to have you here today. Before we get too far into this, let me introduce everybody. I'm Scott. Got Tyler, Shamaegan, Jeremy, and he's with us. Can't see him, but he's over there. Charlie is here. We're excited to kind of be able to get together again today. It doesn't feel like spring today. It's a little cold and wet as we're filming this. But Shamaegan, you look tan.
I did. I self-tanned myself. So it's been a good day.
So, okay, you have the big news of the day because you had a new four-legged companion added to the mix. Can you tell us about?
Yes. So my husband and I decided to add a new addition to our family after a really tough loss a few weeks ago. And we want to adopt rather than shop, just because there are so many puppies and other dogs that are like in a humane society or in the pound. So we started looking, and my mom tagged me in something on Facebook and was like, "This dog is so cute." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, she is so cute." And Lawson was like, "I don't know if we need another dog, you know." And I was like, we need another dog. And so I was like, Meatball needs a friend. I want another friend. And so we went and got Sweet Tea.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Meatball
a lot
and
of
Sweet Tea.
food and beverages.
Just wait, there's going to be more.
Jeremy, I know you're a dog guy.
Yes, definitely.
So, your dog and my dog have tried to play together before.
Yeah.
You tell us about Jaeger.
Well, he's a Border Collie and Blue Heeler mix, and he's almost a year old now. And so I was anticipating him being really big because he has Great Pyrenees in him. Well, that didn't really come through at all. I mean, he's like a medium-sized dog, but he's just the best. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. He's super smart and picks up on everything, and he's doing good. Getting neutered tomorrow, so.
Oh, there it is.
No,
there it is.
Yeah.
Gonna add Jaeger to my prayer list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Please pray for him. Please pray for him.
And then, of course, Tyler, you and Raina can't have a dog right this second because you are transitioning from...
Yeah, into a house that is no pets.
So you got a new place.
Yeah, we're moving to Broken Arrow at the end of the month, and getting kind of closer to our church community.
Hey, so we have kind of I've introduced the last couple of guests that we've had. Let me say it this way.
Yeah.
And today you kind of get to take us.
Yeah, I did the interview this week. So we were talking with my I say it in the video, but Ty is one of my best friends. We love their family. Rand and I have known Ty. He was my youth pastor. My junior and senior year of high school, a little bit of my sophomore year. And then he actually left to go be the youth pastor at Pawnee First Baptist, which is where Raina was on the search team that stole him, and she was a student. So we kind of met through Ty, and Ty's got to be a part of our lives for the last, 8 years almost. So it's been, I love Ty. I love talking to him, and I am really excited for you guys to get to meet him.
So why was it that you thought Ty would be a great guy to be, a part of this Righteous Life kind of series?
So for me, Ty's always been for the last 8 years, he's been one of my number one mentor, and so I can go to him with just about anything. And so when I think of somebody, when we started talking about this Righteous Life, I was like, man, that I just keep thinking of Ty because he's somebody who I not idolize, but somebody who I see in my head as someone who lives a righteous life. So I really just wanted to sit down and talk with him about what that means to him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at his journey, shall we?
Yeah. This is Ty Graham. Ty is the youth pastor at Pawnee First Baptist Church. I've known Ty for 8 years now. He helped me get my start in worship ministry when he was my youth pastor at First Baptist Church in Marlow. And without him moving to Pawnee, I wouldn't have met my wife, Raina. He even married us. Ty and his wife, Melanie, are some of my and Raina's best friends. They have 5 beautiful kids: Deacon, Eva, Elise, Iris, and Gibson. Ty has a passion for seeing students grow in their walk with Christ. He also plays in the worship band every Sunday morning. He proactively inserts himself into the community. He's a substitute teacher, assistant basketball coach, he helps with t-ball, and he participates in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Ty allows his walk with Christ to influence every facet of his life, from community involvement to church to his family and hanging out with friends. Jesus is at the center of it all. When I think of someone who lives a righteous life, I think of Ty. His wisdom goes beyond my own, so I wanted to sit down and talk with him about what it means to live a righteous life. Here is Ty Graham. Hey everybody, today we're having a conversation with Ty Graham. Ty is, he's one of my best friends. He and his wife, Melanie, and their kids are all very special to me and Raina. So Ty, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm the youth pastor at First Baptist Church in Pawnee, Oklahoma. I've been in ministry for almost 13 years at this point. I've been married for a little over 13 years. And so got into that through my father-in-law, who needed a guy just to run his summer program, take kids to youth camp and things like that. And realized that's how God had gifted me. That's what God's calling was in my life. And so we've been in the midst of that for almost 13 years now. Made great friendships and had great experiences with students and with our churches. I've got 5 kids. My oldest is 9 now, which is hard to imagine, but Deacon is 9, and then I've got twin girls that are about to turn 8. I've got another little girl that's she'd be 5.5, and then a little boy that's just about to turn 2 in a month or so. So we run a very, very hectic, chaotic life. I always say I travel with my own circus. I guess technically it's my own little basketball team. But people ask what we do with our time or how we do it. I say, well, I spend my time either chasing my kids or chasing everyone else's. So youth ministry is good. Enjoy it. Actually, youth ministry is the way that I got to meet you. Spent a couple of years down in Marlow where I got to spend time with you and really, really got to pour into you. And then over the years, you've also been able to pour and invest into me. After we left Marlow, that's whenever you and Raina got a chance to meet. Whenever I moved to Pawnee, you and Raina met through that. And so I've got to be part of some really cool stuff that God's doing in people's lives. And that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. You know, it was really cool for me because you actually got me started in worship ministry when you first came to Marlow. You know, you came along and you took me under your wing, you and Melanie both, and you taught me a lot. So it was really cool for me to get to be a product of your ministry. So tell me about how worship plays in with your youth ministry and how you view worship and how that has an effect on your life.
Well, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. And even whenever I pick the right key, I still don't have the tone of voice that sounds very good. But my wife has a beautiful voice. She loves to sing, learn growing up in church, singing it with the adult choir whenever she's not old enough to go to school. She was out there singing with them. And so the music aspect of worship's been part of our life for a long time. I picked up a guitar in middle school and got to be in the praise band in high school and things like that. But we've understood that worship isn't our emotional response to God. It's a choice. It's a response in our hearts and in our minds to love who God is in spite of our circumstances. And worship happens through music, but worship happens through life. It's a lifestyle, not just a music. And but we very much enjoy music. Like you said, that was the way we really connected and hit it off in Marlow, was starting the praise band there. Here in Pawnee, my wife and I will lead worship on Wednesday nights. My best friend here is the worship leader, who's also one of our high school coaches, and so we get to play in the band on Sundays, and it's something about music that helps us connect those feelings we have on the inside and helps us connect those truths of scripture really, really well at the same time. And so whenever all those things go together, uncooked eggs and sugar and flour don't taste very good on their own, but when you throw them together in a batter and make a cake out of it, it turns into something pretty special. And so, so the music aspect of that is, it's a lot of fun.
So I know you're really passionate about music. You've been playing guitar for how long now?
Since eighth grade.
Wow,
Grade,
eighth
they
grade.
gave me the option to be in art or be in guitar, which was a new class at the school. And so I picked guitar. Golly, I don't even remember how long ago that was, 2002.
Yeah.
So almost 20 years.
Wow. Speaking of guitars, you have mine sitting right behind you. I keep looking over at it and I miss it more and more. So with this podcast, we've been talking about the life of righteousness. So as a youth pastor, I know you see God moving your job a lot, almost every day. So, but how do you see that in your day to day? Like, how do you live out that life of righteousness outside of your job, and how do you do that?
I'm a substitute teacher up at the school, so probably once a week I'm up there at the school subbing. I've got a very good relationship with our school, and so the administration, all the principals, all the teachers, my wife is a teacher. So I'm constantly on campus and getting opportunities to see kids that aren't part of our church ministry, but it's a ministry of presence and getting to be there and getting to be a good example. And I help out with the basketball team. I'm an assistant coach for the high school basketball team. We help out around with our kids' little league team. I'm not the T-ball coach anymore, which is I'm okay with that. I enjoy the raw part of this. I'm a competitor at heart, but not being in charge of something is kind of nice. But even there, we've got people who are members of our church now that we've met and that we've, I would say, cultivated relationships with that started from T-ball. And now we've got coach pitch, and we've got kids in our church that are here and connected, and their parents are connected and growing members of our church because of relationships built through there. I like to do jujitsu, which is it's a martial art. It's grappling. And even there, the guys that I'm active with there understand who I am and what I do. And they also understand there's no judgment on who they are or where they come from or anything like that. It's like there's a bond that comes living that positive lifestyle that a lot of people who don't have Jesus, they look at that and it makes a relationship with Jesus desirable because it sets us apart from other people.
That reminds me a lot of a lesson you taught me as my youth pastor. You told us to be the thermostat in a situation rather than a thermometer. A thermostat kind of changes the temperature of the room, but the thermometer adjusts to the temperature of the room. As Christ followers, we should strive to walk into a place and radiate Jesus, and let him be the light, and let him have an influence on the room through us. So, tell me a little bit how you do that with your kids.
With the kids, part of that is mirroring the family structure that we see prescribed in Scripture. That I'm the head of the household, that my wife is my helpmate, that I honor and cherish her, and that I value her. So it's never me controlling her. It's about a partnership, but at the same time, she honors and respects me as the head of the household. There's a lot of stuff. Our kids know our routine. On Sunday morning, we got to wake up early. Nobody else gets to the church until 9:30, 9:45 or so to get there for Sunday school. But my kids are there by 8:05 because we've got band practice and we've got all this. We've got things and responsibilities we got to do. But then they also know it's not just about going to dad's work. They understand that this is a crucial part of our life. that mom and I don't just send the kids so that we can have some time, without the kids around the house or time to ourselves or whatever it is. It's legitimately, it's woven into what we do. I got to teach on Cain and Abel the other day at the house. We had students in our backyard around the fire pit, and we talked about Cain. Cain's sacrifice wasn't looked poorly on by God. God didn't chastise him because his sacrifice wasn't good enough. He liked Abel's. He liked Abel's more. It didn't change Cain's standing with God. Cain was still loved by God. God was still speaking to Cain, warning him. But it was a matter of, I want you to take the next right step. I want you to take the next step towards me. I want you to take the next step in righteousness. And I think that's what, as parents, as families, that's what we're supposed to do. Is, even though as a parent, I might get something wrong. Well, my next right step is to go to my wife or go to my kid and say, look, I lost my temper. I shouldn't have yelled. You've got to put your shoes on in the morning without crying or losing your shoes, but I shouldn't have yelled. I'm sorry. That's that next right step. And so that's got to be something that's going to be modeled by parents. And it's something that I'm working at, and it's something that I am successful in sometimes, and sometimes I miss the mark. But that's in my view, that's how you pursue that as a Christian parent trying to raise up kids, is to set that example, to explain things. And then whenever you mess up, have some humility and take that next right step.
So on Sunday mornings, we've been going through this series about our belief and our unbelief and doubt, and we've been hitting on this one in particular thing every Sunday, and that is that we're not necessarily doubting the existence of God. We're not doubting that he's there, but rather we're doubting the value of having a relationship with him. In this post-COVID world, what would you say to people who are struggling with that doubt and struggling with that fear almost of following Jesus?
In my life, faith is one of my spiritual gifts. I trust God when he says that the life of following after him will be sacrificial. It will be costly, but there's no greater joy in it. There's no greater joy to be found in yourself that you can fulfill other than serving. It's not greater than that of serving God. I would say for people looking, is the life of following Jesus worth it? I would say 100% absolutely. Number one, it gives people purpose. A lot of people nowadays that struggle with depression and struggle with anxiety, a lot of people are struggling and floundering with purpose, even in this COVID era, where people have been secluded and they've kind of boarded themselves in their homes for safety's sake. That starts to get old. They start to wonder about relationships they've had. This person hadn't called. We haven't talked to. I miss people and things like that. But when we have purpose and we understand that our purpose is, number one, to love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And number two is to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. That gives us something beyond just my own thoughts and my own feelings. That's something higher, and that's something bigger than just myself. It allows me to be not the entire puzzle myself, but to be a piece in the puzzle. And my piece, according to God, is crucial and important and valued. And so I would say, number one, if you're struggling with those thoughts, understand that God loves you very, very much. That God is desperately in love with you. That number two, that we feel incomplete in our own self because we're in our own selves are not whole. We were made in the image of God. We were made to reflect the image of God. And so we're also made to know God. And without being able to know God, you can't do the other things for which you're made. So that's something that we're missing and we're struggling with. For people that are struggling with, when do I come out? When do I get back out there? Man, that's kind of up to each person to decide. I lost my father-in-law to COVID. He had some health conditions, and we kind of knew from the beginning of all this, as the stats and stuff came out, if he got it, it was probably going to be life-threatening. And that was a very, very hard time this fall when he got it and within days was gone. But I think I keep pointing back to my father-in-law because he was an illustration of righteousness to me. When he got it, every time he's talking on the phone, it wasn't ever worry about his own safety or his own health, because the man desperately loved Jesus. He was completely passionate about it. And he kept looking forward to the day. He put that over and over again. We got one of his Bibles, and in his notes over and over again, I look forward to the day. And so it's something that transcends our own mortality. And for people that would say that's just spiritual hokum or nonsense or things like that, it's like, well, then why does everybody in the world, no matter where you go, the most secluded people in the world have religious beliefs? It's because they realize there's something bigger than themselves. And so for people that are struggling with that right now, I want to give you some encouragement. And if you're feeling at home in the world, I would remind you that Jesus, not Jesus, but it's New Testament. I can't remember who exactly, but love of the world is enmity with God. Is that loving the things of the world and loving comfort and loving just having things set up nice and easy for you is not the life that God has called us to live. God calls us to something bigger. It could be more dangerous, but it's definitely going to be more fulfilling, because that's who you were made to be.
You know, another thing is that we were made to be in community with people. And that's one thing that we really emphasize at Discover. So I think, like you said, it's important for us to be doing life with others. So how do you seek out community in your own life and with your friend group? Not necessarily at the church, but in your daily life.
Obviously, a lot of my connections in Pawnee are through the church. A lot of our close friends are people that are here and part of the church. But like I talked about Little League earlier, when we went to enroll our son in Little League, we looked at that as a ministry. That first year of T-ball and coaching, we sat down and had about an hour-long conversation of, I don't want to coach, but I think this is what is good for us to connect with families in our community that are not part of our church. Through basketball, being an assistant coach, I've got a relationship with our basketball coach. I've got a relationship with our other assistant. I've got a relationship with about 15, 16 guys on the basketball team. So a couple of which come to our church, and that's great. A few of them come to our church because we've invested in them through basketball and through, I support them with their other sports as well. But just through that investment, they've become part of this. And that's areas that I get to pour into them little by little by little. I've got a couple people that obviously yourself, that's involved in ministry, but I've got a few former students that are involved in ministry. I get to meet with Tyler, and I get to meet with a former student named Nathan. That's the youth pastor at Sapulpa. I get to meet with them about once a month and just talk, how's things going? How's ministry going? Is everything going good with your families? And it's just an opportunity to check in and encourage. And then, the connection through the school was big last year. We lost a student to an accident. And that was really difficult in our community. But because of the presence in the school and constantly being there and having those connections with the kids, checking on them, how they're doing. Hey, how's your mom doing? I know we're in Pawnee, Oklahoma, so we've got ranchers. Your mom got ran over by the bull the other day and broke her leg. How's she doing? Her surgery went good. That's good. We've been praying for her. Let me know if you need anything. All those things. Those are intentional opportunities that we're trying to make the most of. I miss lots of opportunities. There's lots of times where I'm selfish. I just want to sit in my office and not do something. But then whenever God calls us to do something, no matter how small it seems or how ridiculous it seems, it's better always to obey that little call than to ignore it and miss that opportunity, because God's working on something. God's working on people all around us all the time. It's just important for us to find where God's at work and jump in with him.
Nice. And last thing, building on what we just talked about with building community with others outside the church, I want to shift to building community within the church. So within Pawnee First Baptist Church, tell me about the value that you see in doing life with fellow church members.
I live about 3 hours away from my closest family. All of my family is centralized in Southwest Oklahoma. And then we're in Pawnee. We're 3 hours away from everybody. Being part of my church, and not just being in the church, but being part of my church, being plugged in, has been so crucial and instrumental to my wife and I's success here and our desire to stay here and to be involved in our church, because we've got surrogate grandparents. We've got people that have taken us in that will watch our kids for us whenever we've got to run this kid to that thing and this kid to that thing, and the other kids need to be somewhere. I can't take them to my mom's house just to drop them off and go like many of the people in Pawnee can. What I end up doing is taking them to our friend's mom's house and dropping them off and watching. We couldn't survive without our church. And that's not a job thing. That's a joy-filled thing. I brag on our church all the time. We've been accepted by the people here. We're loved on. People check on us. And at the same time, we also are checking on people. It's an opportunity for us to realize that even in ministry, people who serve in ministry aren't perfect. We have areas of our lives that we struggle with. The key is to struggle well. And without that encouragement from other people who are struggling, maybe not in the same areas, but they're struggling in life too. If we're going to struggle well, we have to struggle together. We have to carry each other's burdens. There's opportunities for us to lift people up whenever they're hurting, through prayer, through community. Just seeing someone here at the church. Whenever I see my friend Scott, who's a T-ball parent that's become a friend, that has become a youth worker for me now. Whenever I see him, I'm encouraged, because I know that God's working in his life, and I know that his life isn't perfect and my life isn't perfect. But if I have something I need prayed for, I can go to Scott instantly. I know Wes and Daniel, I know Nicole and Chelsea. I can just run to them for help. We've got parents here that their kids are in the youth group and graduating out of the youth group. Well, my kids are almost getting into the youth group. Even though I've seen teenagers a lot, it's different being the parent of one. And there's opportunities for me to go and say, hey, how did you handle this? This is something we're struggling with. How did you? It's for us to lean on. And I think it's crucial. It's also important for us to serve. Not just in serving in our youth ministry and in the praise band, but it's opportunities for us to serve other people. We've got church members that will call and say, hey, I really need this done. I don't have the money to pay. It's like, well, let me come take care of it. Whether it's mowing a lawn or taking care of leaves, or we've got one lady that needs a wall knocked out. Hey, I got a teenage army and a bunch of sledgehammers. Let's get it done. But of all places, Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast says it in Be Our Guest. He says, life is so unnerving for a servant who's not serving. And that's one of the things we're called to do. You can't do that. You can't do that successfully for the kingdom of God apart from the church. That's something we have to do as a church, is that we have to serve one and love one another. And then let that also be the outpouring. Let that be the hub through which we go and serve and love in our communities, whether it be your job or your school or wherever you're at.
Man, that's great. Well, thanks, Ty, for joining us. I'm glad that we got to sit down and have a conversation. It's always a joy to get to be in community with you. So thanks for joining us. And yeah, we'll see you. So what do you guys think about Ty?
My first thing was, wow. I don't know Ty. I know his relationship through you and Raina. But I just found that really moving. It really spoke to my heart, because I've also experienced this hardship throughout this past year of COVID. I'm a people lover and I love community. And then I moved in COVID, but like also during COVID, like we were secluded and we didn't have like the community the way that we first did. And so being able to like slowly, I feel like it's like Matrix style, slow, getting back to what was normal, and even though it's going to probably always be different. I thought that was really neat, and how he's able to cultivate relationships within the church, but also without the church, and show them Jesus and bring them closer to him. I thought that was amazing.
That's one thing I really like about Ty, is he's intentional about investing, and he was, it was just really clear with that. He invests in other people, and he serves other people. He's really intentional about that.
Also, I really liked Beauty and Beast comment. I'm here for it.
I know Scott probably liked that too, because he's a Disney fanatic.
I love Disney.
Disney theology is the best. Right?
Jeremy, what'd you think?
So my main takeaway kind of tied in with what you guys just said. I like how he uses every instance he can to try and help bring people to God. And I know the word was used a couple of times in the interview, spiritual gifts. And you can kind of see as he talks how he uses his spiritual gifts in every situation to help bring people to God. And so, with that said, if anyone watching this doesn't know what their spiritual gift is, you can go online pretty easily and take a test and pray about it and kind of have a good feeling of what yours might be.
Yeah, I think it's really important for us as Christ followers and as members of a church to know our spiritual gifts so that we can serve the way God created us to serve. I really feel like that is interesting with this whole idea that we've been unpacking of, what was Jesus talking about when he said, I want you to live this life that's righteous, that it's not uber moral or goody two shoes. It's way more practical and just involving God. And I think, Jeremy, you totally want to just, clap on what, you just said there, because it is all about, especially in Ty's exemplifying it, that he's figured out what those spiritual gifts that God's given him are. And the cool thing, like you're saying, is every one of us have unique spiritual gifts that are unique to us, and everyone's gonna be different. I imagine some people watching that were like, oh man, I could never get in front of people and play guitar, or I could never coach a team, or I could never, but there's something that God made each of us to do that actually we would love doing. And when we find out what those gifts are and we use them, like Ty's doing amazing. Yeah. To help other people, to serve other people. And yes, go in the Lumiere quote, it becomes something that doesn't just bless us, it blesses them, and it gives that sense of connectivity to being in the kingdom of God and living that righteous life. And another thing I really liked that he talked about was taking the next right step. I think oftentimes we want to know the last step so that we can just jump to it, but sometimes, and most of the time, God doesn't give us a clear, defined plan for our life. So most of the time, all we can do is just is to be fervent in prayer and just say, okay, God, what's the next right step? What's the next thing that I'm supposed to do? And just having faith and having trust in that. Yeah. That's one thing that I resonated with as well. Yeah.
Well, hey, talking about cool things. So you got to do another life together this week. You got to visit with Janelle Shelton. And she is somebody who has a real passion for vacationing and camping and those experiences really with her family. Yeah. So how was that experience?
I really enjoyed it. I love to travel myself, so being able to talk to other people about where their favorite places are, it kind of made me want to put new places on my list of where I want to go, and being able to admire God's beauty together. It's not just about being able to take off work and go somewhere, but nature is a wonderful gift, and we as humanity should be able to appreciate it and take care of it. But being able to spend that time with your family and go somewhere that you love or that you have seen before a million times, or maybe never at all, I think that that's such a blessing and really nice to hear about.
Cool. Well, let's see that one.
Today I'm going to meet up with Janelle Shelton and learn about her life on the road on her RV. Hey, hi. I'm Shamaegan. Hi, I'm Janelle. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. All right, so you're showing me about the RV ride? Yes, yeah, and we have it parked right here. All right, let's get started.
So this is our home on 4 wheels for the summer. We are pretty much gone the entire summer, just me and the kids.
Oh, really?
Want to come check it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on into our home.
Wow, this has a lot of things. It's a home, so that's awesome.
It's gotta fit 4 of us and 2 large dogs, so it gets a little cramped in here once we're all here.
But it does the job.
Yes, it does. Yeah, we've got enough bedding.
Where has been your favorite vacation spot so far? Do you have multiple? But I noticed your Route 66,
yes.
So I figured that was something.
When we bought this RV, our intentions was to travel the entire Route 66. So for spring break last year, we hit the road and we headed to the Grand Canyon. And COVID had just hit, so along the way things were closing.
Right.
But we still got to stop and see a lot of, like, the Palo Duro Canyon in Amarillo, which is amazing. And all along the way, and then we stopped at little landmarks, went up to Santa Fe, and then we got to spend a few days in the Grand Canyon, and just amazed by God's beauty there. It's just beautiful. I grew up camping with my parents, and I just remember I have all these great memories with me and my two sisters and my parents camping, and that's something that's always stuck with me. So an RV has always been a dream of mine, or just that camping experience, so my kids can enjoy, have those memories as well. And it just kind of feels like a safety net having everybody here with me. We don't need all the material things. Like, yes, this is great. This is a very nice RV.
Yeah.
But just the time together where we just unplug. There's no phones. The TV is here, but it's never on. It doesn't get satellite or cable or anything anyway. But yeah, where we can just have that time together, sitting around the campfire and making s'mores or whatever, and just hiking and just having all those memories together. And that's what it was all about for me.
All right, so I've never ridden in an RV. So are you willing to take me on a small ride?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Well, that was really great. Cool deal, Shamaegan. That was great, and neat to see that. And it's awesome that Janelle drives that thing.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like unfathomable for me. So
I love it. That's great. So hey, Tyler. So worship. What are we going to do today?
We are doing "Till I Found You" by Phil Wickham. Most people who know me, I know I'm a huge Phil Wickham fan. Always have been, and "Till I Found You" is one of my favorite songs by him. And one thing that I think it really hits on is that before we knew Jesus, we like the verse is, I searched through the earth for something that could satisfy, a peace for hurt that I had buried deep inside. And we were before Jesus, we're searching for these answers on our own, and we're trying to fix things on our own. But then once we turn to Jesus, we realize, oh, I didn't realize that something good could last forever. I didn't know this, but then we turn to Jesus and we ask him to save us. And it's this is a really cool thing that when we find Jesus, when he finds us, we're changed and we're new, like the morning.
I searched through the earth for something that could satisfy, a peace for the hurt I had buried deep inside. Knees on the floor, I finally found everything I needed. You lift my soul And I never knew anything lasts forever till I found you, till I found you. I never dreamed anything could be better till I found you, till I found you. You're rewriting my story, and I'm brand new like a morning. I never knew anything lasts forever till I found you, till I found you. Gone are the days of chasing after romance. I'm done with building these castles that crumble like sand. Oh, knees on the floor, I finally found everything I needed was always right in front of me. You gave me a name and you changed everything I am. I never knew anything lasts forever till I found you, till I found you. I never dreamed anything could be better till I found you, till I found you. You're rewriting my story, and I'm brand new like a morning. I never knew anything lasts forever till I found you, till I found you, yeah. Till I found you, yeah. I never knew anything lasts forever till I found you, till I found you. I never dreamed anything could be better till I found you, till I found you.